Okay guys, 3 tips for absolute beginner violinists and fiddlers. Let's do this. Okay guys, I just want to let you know guys, I chucked my headphones in because basically my audio quality on my videos are just really bad because my house is open air and open planned, I should say, and so you can really hear that echo in my normal audio. So I'm trying to really bring a better quality of audio to my videos. So I've chucked in my AirPods to see if the mic on there just sort of diminishes that echo. But let's start. Okay, so tip number 1, guys, is basically your bow hold. So I just quickly drop my violin down and then we can just use this bow. Okay, so one of the things that you may find yourself doing very early on is when you start developing your bow hold. So I won't use my broguish style bow hold that I do as a fiddler. You can see that in my videos. I'm a fiddler. I do what I want. But if you're a violinist, okay, you're gonna have like your hold, right? Okay. And what you may find yourself doing at the beginning is that you'll sort of like have your bow off your violin and you'll copy what you're shown online. And then as you when you place it on your violin, what you might find yourself doing more and more and more is just starting to raise your hand like this, and you find that your thumb will start to straighten and it'll start to curve like this, and you'll start having this kind of bowing style, and it can be very. That's just a terrible bow hold. So one of the things to keep in mind while you're doing this is to always try to keep your fingers bent and aim to get your wrist below like this. So when you're practicing, when you place it on the violin, your wrist is going to move above and below depending on where it is in the bow stroke. And so what you want to try and do is while you're practicing is try to get your wrist just sort of like in line with the bow or below it even. But again, it depends on how long your fingers are. It's going to depend where your wrist sits when you practice by standing there, okay? So try not to aim for this. Don't aim for this. You want to aim for something like this, okay? And when you are holding your bow in the air like this, it's going to feel like there's a lot of pressure on your thumb, okay? So when you're holding it there, you're going to really feel that bow sort of push down on your thumb. Okay, you can see then the blood just went back into my thumb. That happens when you're practicing in the air. So when you're just practicing like this, you're going to really feel pressure on your thumb. But once it rests on the violin, you'll feel so much of that pressure just disappear off your thumb, and it will just allow you then to actually find your correct bow hold style. So there'll be many. There's some people who just have these amazing fingers and they're able to create a flat style like this. And then there's people who just have this massive forward lean like this. From what I understand, guys, neither of those are incorrect. So they're just how your arm operates, yeah, and your hand. But the main thing again is to make sure all your fingers are relaxed and your thumb is bent. Your thumb must be bent. If you have a thumb like this, you will end up with a playing style like this, and it's not good, okay? Your violin teacher is probably gonna lose her mind or his mind. This is really obvious stuff, okay? And I want you to know that this is all like week 1 stuff. The most important thing is you've got to try and keep that pinky on. And again, you're going to feel stress when you're air bowing. You're going to feel the stress on your little finger. It's going to feel weird. So don't be afraid to pull up your violin and just rest your bow on the violin. So it takes the stress off your little finger. It's going to feel really heavy. Okay guys, number 2. Okay, so this is something, again, if you have a teacher, you're going to work through this, but if you are somebody who is learning online, one of the first things you're going to want to do when you start practicing is you're going to try and keep your violin flat. Everybody does it. Even, well, I don't know. I think even I did it. You're going to want to try and create this flat platform for your playing. And if you have like normal sized fingers, trying to curl your hand over and bring your elbow in puts so much stress on your shoulder and on the ligaments that run down your hands and up into your shoulder and stuff like that. You're going to feel so much strain trying to create a flat platform like this. And the thing is for most people, you're never going to get your violin to rest like this. Most of the time, you're going to find that your violin will sit like this with the bridge on an angle. And for people who just have smaller hands and shorter fingers, the distance from, so the way your hand shape takes here, it takes so much more stress off the back of your hand, off your wrist here and stuff like that, compared to when it's like this. Because the more the violin goes to a flat position, the more your elbow has to come in and the more your hand has to curl around to be able to reach the strings. But when the violin is on an angle like this, it's really nice to play. So if you're finding with the way that your body, the way you are designed, your body is designed, if you find that it's easier to play with your violin, with the fingerboard on an angle like this, do it. Okay, I don't even know if I've seen many violinists play, or definitely fiddlers, who play with a flat violin like this. Everybody seems to eventually have a slight turn in their violin because I think it's the correct way. Number 3, okay, is another really, again, complete beginner. So many people are just going to roll their eyes at this, and it's bowing. So to be able to bowing straight is really important. And the reason why it's so difficult to bow is that it is quite naturally for the human body, so for the human arm, when it's in front of you like this, to want to rest next to your body. So it wants to rest next to your body here. Yeah, so the idea of being, whenever we pick something up and we're going to carry it, we bring it to our side. So the natural movement for the human arm is from here and then down and around to here. So when you bow, let me just bring you guys back up. So when you bow, the most natural feeling for you to do is to go from here to here. And that creates basically like an angled bowing technique. This, yeah? Because we're using our shoulder. And even if we don't use our shoulder. Yeah? And so one of the good ways to try and create a straight bowing practice is to actually, as you come down, is to actually push your arm out. So as you're bowing, you want to focus on straightening your elbow, keeping your shoulder still, and bowing like this. So I know this is extremely exaggerated, but this is the kind of mechanism in your mind you're trying to replicate. And then what you want to do then is you want to refine it so that it becomes a straight bowing technique. So it all comes into your wrist, the movement of your wrist. Yeah, so this is how I was able to go from basically bowing like this, because again, it's the most natural human movement, okay, and then you have to then try and refine it. And so what I would do then is I would bow okay, so the first thing I did is I over accentuated the movement so that my muscle memory started to develop a more outwards push rather than an inwards, yeah, a natural inwards movement. I try to develop an unnatural outward feeling. And then what I did is, as I started to play songs and stuff, I noticed that over accentuated bowing style started to come a little bit more like this way, and then eventually it straightened, and it still does. I still find myself a little bit doing this. You have to understand that this is not something that you can develop like in a couple of months. You know, you can do this open strings and get it perfect. As soon as you start learning to play the songs, you're going to start finding more and more that your bow wants to do something crazy. It just wants to do these crazy stuff because you become quite used to focusing on straight bowing. And as soon as you're not concentrating, you will start to have this really strange movement. So don't beat yourself up if, like, after weeks and weeks of practicing, you start to learn new songs and then suddenly your bow's all over the place. Don't beat yourself up over it. It happens to everybody. But if you can, try and develop that in and out feeling, that forward motion feeling. So in to out motion feeling at first, and then refine it to a nice straight bowing. You're less likely, when you're not thinking about it, to continually go back to that natural arm movement. Okay guys, so I've probably talked way too much about that, but that's what I wanted for number 3. Yeah, to create a straight bowing technique rather than doing the most natural thing with your arm. You have to try and drill out. So you have to keep practicing out the motion, the most natural motion. Okay guys, so that's 3 of the most basic tips for brand new violinists and fiddlers. Check the description. There are so many more videos that will be helpful for you guys, and I will just list them all down with their links and you can just go through them. So that's it for now. I'll see you in the next video.